we're recording now.
All right, so now you were saying that Mike got into an argument on Facebook about the animal rights meme or something like that.
It's not. I mean, it's only indirectly about animal rights. This is the. I don't know if you've seen it, but this is the meme that's. I've seen it a few times now. Right. This is about canine units in the police, and the meme is saying that share this if you think murder or killing like a canine unit should get you the same punishment as killing a police officer.
Right, like the same offense as being like killing somebody, you should get the same punishment.
Right, and a lot of like really conservative pro-cop types are.
I feel like that kind of encircles a lot too, because it's like once people start pointing fingers at dogs, it's like next thing you know, the animal rights FEMA activists are gonna start coming out of the woodworks, and start pointing fingers about shooting deer, for example. But it's like, why do cops get special treatments? You know what I mean? That's my whole deal with it. You know what I mean? They can kick down a door and shoot the family dog Fluffy in the face, and it's no big deal. But
yeah, that was one of my first like.
You know what I mean?
The other some of the people I was talking to before that, that's the kind of the argument I laid down. But with the person we worked with that I was discussing this with,
He's got a lot of really good memes.
I was trying to. I mean,
a lot of conservative memes.
Like I feel like there's.
That's the cat going crazy. There's banana, everybody.
There's just like this obvious like disconnect between like your prototypical kind of neoconservatism and like what they're saying about this particular issue.
Well, you were saying, I saw your comment. It was about like we worship anything that we throw a badge on, basically, which is pretty on point.
That's like ultimately where I was going with like what I'd be getting to, because these aren't like people that are pro-animal rights. Otherwise, they're not people who are. And it's like there's like this interesting kind of parallel with like transgendered people, like how they view transgendered people. Like they'd lose their mind if you were to suggest that like a male to female person should be understood as female, or you should use female pronouns. And the most common argument by far is, well, you can't just call or identify somebody by something they're not. That's not how we're.
And do you think us as people should actually have to kind of put ourselves in that situation, like that political? It's kind of like, all right, you better follow our rules, or you're a bigot. We hate you. You're evil. Why should we have to succumb to that kind of political view? If we don't really have. That's just my opinion. What do you think, Murphy?
I mean, you talk about like policing.
Well, like that, or? I think we're getting off topic with like kind of the gender identity.
No. I'm trying to make a parallel. I'm saying that
right.
Because the argument I was trying to make is that you don't just because you put a badge on a dog doesn't mean it's an officer. In the same way that they might argue that just because somebody identifies as female when they have a male chromosomes and genitalia doesn't mean that they're female.
So what you're saying is trans people are animals.
Okay.
Well, the topic is animal rights.
How awful can my jokes get?
They're going crazy right now.
You can edit that out.
No, we won't.
Edit that first.
We're here to offend if you don't like it.
All right. So what? No, you're trying to get back to though.
Oh well. All right. Did you guys hear about that thing about the fluoride? Being in
Tell us about.
So it's in our water supply. Obviously, everybody knows it. Back in elementary school, they had the old school nurse. All right, drink your fluoride. Time to squish up. And I guess they just came out with this study about how it's causing cognitive impair, lower IQ scores in children, calcification of the pineal gland and stuff like that. And do you think maybe the government has some knowledge of that, that happening, of fluoride being in the water and that affecting the population?
I feel like if it was such an issue, I mean, this is kind of broad, but I feel like if it was that blatant of a problem, we would see more like people talking about it. But it could be, like you said, if it's a really new study. But I've seen it talked about it for a long time about like the concern that fluoride lowers your brain functionality. But
sure, I mean, it's probably not that significant, and the reason it's being used in the first place is it's the trade-off. Anyway,
healthy teeth for a dumber brain, I guess. Yeah.
Well, it's just cleaning our water in general.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's sanitation for.
Yeah, I just wonder if if the government did have might have some knowledge of
like
this shit might not be healthy in our water.
Well, the issue is how significant is the fluoride levels? Because like people will do things like they'll see. For an example, vaping, right? Like there's you guys heard about the whole popcorn lung argument that's been around over the last few years. Like
what they're saying, basically.
The idea that what's inside vape liquid is the thing that gives people popcorn lung, and it's this, like terrible.
It's just as bad as smoking now. They're saying, right? They're saying it's like.
Well, I mean, what I'm getting at is that the concentration levels required to actually contract, popcorn lung is like way higher than what's actually
extra
in there.
butter.
But that's all they.
But
that's all it takes is for somebody to say, okay, well, this causes this,
right?
And they don't really look at
percentages.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's also
so how much fluoride does it take to just become brain dead from?
I guess not much is what the study was saying.
Much.
Don't quote me.
Well,
though.
look. how much is not much? Is it
right? Yeah.
There's a big difference between 1 part in 1,000 and 1 part in a million. Either one will look like not much, but there's a massive difference.
I mean, fluoride is like the standard, right? And when it comes to cleaning like water, like part of the chemicals. So I would be interested, like when you'd have to look at like when we introduced fluoride into cleaning water and like IQ points and quotes.
I use chlorine
across the U.S.
I put it in my. I just get the tablets, pop off a little bit.
Like
put it in my.
I think don't they use like a compound that has like chlorine in it when they clean? Because like you ever like turn on your water faucet right after like they just got done like.
You'll kind of smell chlorine.
Yeah, you kind of smell it. It's like weird, but you drink it because you're like
chlorine.
I feel safer already.
Yeah. Call me a conspiracist, but I almost wonder if the government would benefit from a dumber population. What gain would they have for kind of controlling how intelligent we are, especially the lower middle class population and demographics? What benefit would they have? Obviously having a lower intelligent, lower class, middle class people.
I mean, I think they kind of already benefit. I mean, if you look at the average, let's say Facebook user, it's not like that's where they get their news and information. It's people are easily like manipulated, and that's what like ad agencies and these marketing companies are all about. It's like convincing people that they thought of stuff on their own, Inception style shit,
And obviously that's what's going on right now with the whole Mark Zuckerberg thing. Well, he's testifying in Congress right now, and so what happened exactly? Do you guys know exactly what happened?
The Cambridge Analytics thing?
So yeah, I think
selling. Well, are they accusing them of actually selling this information, like private information to a?
I think wasn't he accused a few years ago for like selling to China?
82 million users use Facebook, and apparently, according to the whole thing that's going on,
it's way more than that. I think it might.
Yeah, I guess
maybe it's 82 million people.
Something. Don't quote me. But I guess he sold all this information to a analytical company. Sold all of our data, all the users' data to a company. And basically saying that's wrong, being everyone's private data to sell to them to make a profit.
We all signed the end user agreement.
We did.
It's not like
I'm
sure
that's true.
Because people, my girlfriend has argued with me that she's like just because it's in there and they're being sneaky, they shouldn't have the right to be sneaky like that. But they're not the only company that monitors and records your data. Like Google, every company that you go on does it. Your bank records your transactions when you use a debit card. When you go to like Walmart,
they're listening right now.
They probably honestly are though. I mean, remember Amazon Echo? People were getting mad because they found out it was recording
what they were saying and using it to sell ads
when they wasn't even like on.
Yeah. So anyways, back to the topic. So I think what it was is that the Congress or Senate was accusing Zuckerberg and Facebook of basically having a very liberal view. I guess what he was doing was he was firing. I guess he was maybe caught firing or suspected of firing people of a more conservative Republican view. So it's kind of this thing where the owner of Facebook is kind of manipulating people and ads and different things that are on Facebook for a political view. I guess he's kind of banning. They're saying the right side.
I don't know. What I read was that this group that he sold it to was actually largely pro-Trump.
Yeah, manipulated the election. That's one of the biggest accusations is that they used it to keep track. Yeah, actually, it's interesting. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but you can actually go on your phone on your Facebook ad settings, it actually has you labeled with like a political like alignment.
Really?
Yeah. Mine says liberal, which is weird because I feel like I don't post anything political, but
I mean, other than all the pro-Hitler stuff, I mean, it's kind of, they're picking up on it.
We still
it's
recording?
not pro. It's more like
Sympathetic. Sympathetic is what I guess I'm saying.
Don't quote us though.
Very amateur. Yeah. But it's like it's crazy because it's like your data point, and that's what people look at you like. That's why people call your house during the elections. They're like, "Who'd you vote for?" Because it's important to collect that stuff, even though they don't have to do that anymore, really.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what they're saying. Russia was involved, right? Like Russia was hacking our Facebook or the elections or something like that too. Was a part of it, and
a big government like Russia tampering with our politics is not. It's not unique. Like the U.S. is tampered with like everybody else's politics, and now we're like, what are they doing?
Ways that go a lot further than that, but just hacking Facebook accounts.
Yeah. But I mean, it benefits them to try to destabilize us in any like social way. These Marxists.
yeah,
Putin.
I know, but what? So what? He's going on his third term now, right? Or he's going to run for a third term. Don't quote me.
Wait,
I don't know. Who? Talking about Putin?
Yeah, and they're saying they're basically.
Hasn't he been president since like the?
Since he was born, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Since like the 90s, and he was one of the first.
Yeah, he was in there.
He's been in there.
Because wasn't he like a spy during the Soviet Union?
KGB,
So, like,
something like that.
So he's born
Who
into
knows?
it, definitely.
Jab you in the neck. There's like that picture of him. It's like, it's like Reagan or somebody is visiting Disneyland, and in the background you see like Putin in like a polo or something. It's so good. So because he was like I don't know if he was a spy then or something, but I think he might have been. It's just crazy. He's like, hello, I love Disneyland.
I gotta check this Facebook thing out.
Oh,
See
you
what they're labeling me as.
Let me.
They label you.
I have to
I
grab
don't
the
know. I
Wi-Fi.
remember.
If we do this now,
I
this is
remember
not
when
going to be dead air if I have to show you because I feel like.
Oh no, it's alright.
No, go for it. Because I remember a long time ago, and these, the years go by so fast now. We're probably talking 6, 7, 8 years ago.
333.
333 years ago. I remember I could go into my profile setting on Facebook and like you can select your political affiliation. I'm sure it's still like that, and it might even still be in there.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
I mean,
You're
probably.
not allowed to.
I think you just they tell you.
Yeah,
they
they
assign
tell
you.
Garbage website now, though.
Like it's like the Hunger Games. They assign you.
Pretty interesting though that they actually have an algorithm that seems to actually be able to know what your political preference is. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's just keeping ticks of, like keywords.
And to me, that seems like something they can highly manipulate, especially if someone was involved, a government official, someone paying them off of some sort,
But they probably got an algorithm that looks for like, oh, if someone writes MAGA, did they write no or like any negative statements in there? And if they did, tick them towards like liberal. But if they said like MAGA with no context, it's like, all right, we're gonna tick them towards conservative. All right. So you go to settings.
Okay.
Where's
On your Facebook app, settings.
I don't know.
Let me know when you boys are there.
Well, I don't know where that settings. Oh, wait.
Cut
Okay,
this
down
out.
here somewhere. Here we go. App settings.
All right. Account settings. Oh wait, which settings are you? Are you
I'm
on
in app settings.
Go to the actual Facebook app itself.
I'm in the Facebook app.
All right, then.
And then in my settings.
Don't
All right.
validate.
then go to just hit settings then, or account settings. Sorry.
Okay, count settings.
All right, and then go down all the way. Scroll down to something that says ads.
Yep. Ads.
It's actually a bunch of keywords they got assigned to you, by the way. Some of them are weird.
Really?
Like
Okay, no, I'm interested.
gay sex and stuff, which is weird. 'Cause I don't look at that. I don't know. No.
Well, I
but-
mean, I'm always in.
Russia probably hacked
I'm always in incognito mode. I feel like.
All right, and then I think it's your information, maybe. Yeah, go to your
More
information,
information. Okay.
and if you go down to your categories,
Oh whoa.
I know it's really embedded in there. If you go to your
This is
categories,
spooky.
review and manage your categories.
And
Maybe.
it's like in very fine print.
It's in there, and if you scroll down, you'll see U.S. politics, and then there it is, mine in parentheses. Liberal.
Okay. Liberal.
Yeah.
I got liberal.
It says very liberal. I should, look at this.
You're argumentative, man. You gotta take it easy.
Very liberal.
Wow.
Birthday in
It
December.
says here I'm a soy boy.
Close friends of expats. That's a weird tag.
Like, huh?
People that left.
Like expatriates?
That's people that live outside the country, isn't it?
These
Expats.
people who are like forced out.
Yeah, it says that about It says that about me too.
Console gamers. Yeah.
PC Master Race here. I'm a parent with a preschool.
Douchebag. What is that?
Parents,
Piece of shit.
new smartphone and tablet. This is nuts.
It's crazy how much how much Facebook really does, how much data they actually do have against us. And yeah, like you said, I guess we do press accept on the terms and conditions.
This is crazy. So what happens? Can I change this?
Well, yeah, it's.
People see example.
I mean,
Denied.
you know you get.
This is why I see all those Bernie ads all the time.
I saw someone do like a calculation. It was on like Reddit. Someone was like, what would they? Because like if Facebook actually divided out the money they owed everybody for their data, it's like each person using it would get $18 or whatever. It's insane.
But then Zuckerberg's his thing about it was, what would their business model be without ad revenue?
Yeah.
And I think the Senate was making somebody. I forget who it was. I forgot his name, but he was saying something about how. I guess it was just wrong to be able to sell your data, but then Zuckerberg's like, well, how are we supposed to make money? You know what I mean? Because I guess he's making a huge deal about making people pay. And he's like, you're going to make people pay? Well, yeah. What's our business model?
Well, with a platform that big, you can't just give away a free website to, what is it, 82 million or something like that, whatever you said. Like, that's just the amount of employees you have to keep in track of and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers, but I think it was close to that.
For the record, a lot more than 82 million people use Facebook. It's
How
gotta
many?
be in the billions.
Really?
You think? Are you kidding
No
me?
way. China doesn't have to, I'm just kidding. They do.
It's gotta be at least
Limited.
like
1 billion.
I'd say at least
they got
it's gotta be at least like 1
They
billion.
got China book, which is, the joke is actually chain. Now it's more chins than a Chinese Facebook.
We do not condone racism on this podcast.
Yeah.
We promote racial diversity, okay?
Yeah.
Which is why 3 white guys are doing this podcast.
No.
Speak for
I
yourself,
don't do
dude.
that.
Aren't you Polish, Mike? You're not even really a white
I don't
person.
know.
Yeah. Go back to your home country.
Yeah. Go back to your pierogies.
Watertown.
Watertown.
Mike, what are you drawing over there, man?
I don't know.
He's been writing over the same letters for the past hour.
All right, well, yeah,
All
we
work and no
started
play.
on, started on animal rights. as
Yeah,
you
we
can
did.
tell.
We didn't really. I feel like we didn't really come to a resolution here.
Resolution about what? Where are we still?
Alright,
No,
alright,
I know
alright.
there's a more interesting argument because
So
Murphy here is a bit of a relapsed vegan. Or
Well, I
vegetarian
was
or
formerly
something.
vegetarian for like
Formerly
10
vegetarian.
months, and if you count like 2 other times.
So what was that like?
And he doesn't. And you don't eat pork because he's a Muslim.
It's not.
Because
It's difficult. The hardest part of being a vegetarian is eating healthy. Like a lot of people switch over to like they call it breaditarian as like an insult because it's like you just end up eating breads and you get fatter. So some people go like vegan and be like, why am I gaining weight?
But
It's because
I
like
feel
you're
like it's not really for weight management though.
No,
So the health benefits, I guess, of what it brings.
But they always argue like veganism is so which I would argue that being a vegetarian, I wasn't eating healthier because I was eating less meat. I was eating healthier because I was actually paying attention to what I was eating in general, which is a skill that you should have no matter what. Like, it wasn't until I was a vegetarian that I learned about like chicken or turkey being leaner than like red meats and stuff. Because I knew nothing about that stuff until later on. So
Man, I love me a mean chicken. And a burger too. I mean, I know that they're saying they always said that red meat was very, very unhealthy for you. But now they're finding studies that it's actually might be good for you.
It's
all about
every week,
it's all
it's
about
like a new study.
proportions and amounts, you know.
And
Like,
it seems like
anything's bad for you if you eat enough of it. You know what I mean?
moderation.
Moderation, baby.
It's weird because I feel like 1 week, like when I was a kid, everyone was like, eggs got cholesterol, they're bad for you. Now I hear like, you can eat as many as you want and you're fine, they're high in protein, they're amazing.
It's like, do we really even know what's healthy and what's not at this point?
Don't even get me started on the food pyramid, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's the food plate now. You know, they changed it now.
Is it really?
Yeah, they changed it. What I think a few years ago, I want to say.
What does it look like?
It's a plate and it's portion
Wow.
size. You got your carbs,
It's
fats.
basically just like a pie chart now instead of a.
And there's obviously, you know how they used to have the top part for the sweets and sugars and stuff. I had
No,
for my
it wasn't.
chocolate.
No, the
right?
top was
It was sweet.
vegetables, I think, right?
No,
no, wait.
Because bottom was like, they had breads at the bottom. when I was a kid.
Carbs.
I remember
and
that. That's
breads and
insane.
wheat and grains.
And sugar, well,
Oh
sugar's
wait,
bad
was
for
the
you,
top
but,
of
like,
the see that maybe it's a good thing that they changed it.
carbs and
'cause
sugar should be at
You're gonna
least
get
low.
mixed messages with a pyramid. Is the top of the pyramid good or bad? I feel like being at the top of the pyramid
It's a
means
reverse
it's the best.
funnel.
You know, it's at the top.
Yeah,
Candy's
it's a plate
at the
now.
top.
And
just eat veggies and lean meats.
yeah, we should all know sugar is not good for you. You know what I mean? Obviously,
Sugar, baby. It's just pure fat. Well, pure in terms of fat, but
yeah. But it seems like you said, every week there's some kind of new opinion about it. Like back in the day, breakfast was the most important meal. Now there's all these huge studies about the benefits of intermittent fasting.
well, it's like if you actually look at like cereal, and I always say it's candy for breakfast. Pop-Tarts and cereals is candy for breakfast.
It's great. No, it's not great. It's
like as much as I like cereal,
Yeah.
it's like, or there was like eat eggs and bacon, but you can eat whatever you want for breakfast. Your body does not care what you're eating throughout the day. Like when it comes to like,
I love some bacon.
I eat eggs. I don't know. I didn't eat
I ate turkey bacon.
turkey. I actually love turkey bacon. So
You eat
good.
turkey bacon, Mike?
It's all right.
It doesn't get as crispy, but it's really
I like turkey.
You're not really too much of a health. I mean, you never really, you know.
No,
you never
not
really,
even
you're fit.
remotely.
Yeah.
No, I just have a good metabolism, but that's
Me and Murphy were
that's
fat
going
kids
away.
growing up.
Look, as a single father,
Well, we're going to be switching. You guys work out and I don't, and my metabolism's slipping. I'm going to be the fat one. You guys are the fat ones. I was just looking at pictures on my Facebook, like old pictures, and I was like scrawny as shit.
I was heavier, so I worked out.
I was like 110
You got
pounds.
kids, man. You're ready. You're ready. You're fine.
It's alright. Dad bod.
Yeah, the dad
Go with
bod's
dad
what's
bod.
in these days. It's like, man, I just lost all this weight, and now the dad bod's in.
Yeah.
I gotta revert.
Some guys are roiding just to get the dad.
Yeah.
Inject me.
Anyways, about being a vegan. So when you first started, was it tough? Like first week? You know what I mean?
Well,
3 days in,
I was a
drinking
vegetarian.
about- yeah.
Vegan's way different ballpark.
Oh, right.
She, my girlfriend was a vegan, and Jesus Christ, I don't even get into that. But finding like places to eat, it's like almost impossible because vegetarian's hard enough. Because like you go to a place like, well, we have salad. I honestly don't remember my first week. Because I was working at Subway at the time.
Was it? So did you feel like the health benefits kick in quite quickly when you started?
I don't know.
I didn't really feel a big change, did you?
I just was exploring more, like with like foods and stuff. Like I never really eaten avocado or a lot of veggies. I just didn't mess around with as much. And then I learned that you can really, and fake meats, like these like faux meats you can buy, are pretty good. They're really close. Don't look at me like that, Mike.
You guys
I've tried it before. It's disgusting.
You see this this thing going on Facebook about the dairy farms, local dairy farms are going out of business because big corporations like Walmart, for example, are selling like their milk at like half the price of what they're selling.
Soy milk.
You know what I mean? You hear about that?
No.
I thought that was interesting.
People aren't drinking milk as much. People are kind of getting woke to the fact that you don't really need it unless you want to ingest a lot of fat, you know.
Yeah.
Gallon a day.
Love me some milk.
Like, and you know, being lactose intolerant. We were talking about it the other day. I can't have that lactose.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too that mainly people of European descent, I think, don't quote me,
No,
are
I've
more
heard that.
lactose intolerant. And I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. Whiteys
true?
can't have white milk.
Yeah.
Take that, cracker.
Well, all right, guys, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in 5.
That's fine.
Are we back?
Yeah, he's
All right,
just
so
getting
we're back,
Mike's getting a beer. It'll take him 5
and
seconds.
we're talking about how.
We can always cut this out. I say we, but Bruce is the only one.
Murphy's got a bottle opener from the 1900s.
Yeah,
On
that's
his cabinet.
cool. You see that little thing on the top there? That's like an old-fashioned doorbell. It's crazy. It's weird.
What is that window?
It could have been from
That?
Is that for the children to look?
It's a skylight, but it's weird because it like the light has to travel down. All right. So what are we?
We're talking about
Talk about gender.
gender identity, which is a very touchy subject in today's culture. A lot of people are getting offended when I feel like they shouldn't be. What were you saying though before we got back?
Alright,
on?
so like I was telling Mike and you guys, I guess, both, yeah, whatever, both of you.
The
Both you
other
boys.
people.
Yeah, but I was saying, because people say that sexuality is on a spectrum, but people will try to argue that gender is on a spectrum, and then Mike just asked me, well, wouldn't it be? I just don't think you can be, like, partial like that. I think you have to be...
One or the other.
Like, because biological sex, obviously, is different than gender identity. Biological sex is male, female. And then gender identity, to me, would just be male, female, trans, female. Why should there be anything more than that? You know?
Right.
Well, I mean, so you have to start with a much more fundamental question. What is gender?
I mean, it depends on how you look at it.
Well, what's an octopus?
It's whatever.
You know, it's kind of like, it's that whole thing about identity that kind of is really weird about the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Okay, so Murphy, at least, I don't know about you, Bruce, but at least Murphy so far agrees that there is a difference between gender and sex. Is that right?
Yeah. There's biological.
I mean, so what? Sex is what?
That they're two different things. They're distinct.
Okay.
You know? Like that's not to say there might not be some correlation between.
I mean,
two,
if you want to call yourself whatever the hell you want, I mean, I can say, hey, I identify as a Chinese octopus.
No. It's not just about like what people want to call themselves. It's about like a real.
I mean,
thing that's going on inside their head.
Yeah,
right?
the realest terms, it's what you feel you are. But I would say that gender identity is based off of sex. So it's like, how could you feel like, and this is an absurd case, like where people are like, I'm otherkin, I'm an octopus. Yeah. Like you can say, like, how do you feel like you're an octopus? Like, and it sounds fucked up to say, but maybe you are mentally ill if you're thinking you're an animal.
But do you think a lot of people?
I think that's a poor analogy, though. An animal's not like a human. That's not a state.
Really, we're talking about the dog rights. So you just talk about trans rights compared to like.
I know, and here we are, full circle on it. Like so. Do you? I mean, but do you think that? I mean, do you identify as a male?
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that mean to you? That to be male?
Just general masculine traits.
Okay, masculine traits. So you have those masculine traits, is what you're saying? Can you show me?
Damn, shots fired.
No.
Can you prove that?
I mean,
that's what he's asking.
You want to see
he wants to whip it right out.
I guess, like, I mean, how would you identify a male as, like, critical thinking, industrious,
okay.
masculinity?
That's fine. Yeah.
Masculinity is kind of whatever you want to be.
Yeah, sure. And it changes over time, and it depends on culture too. Like what's masculine here and now isn't the same thing as what masculinity is in a different century or in a different place. Like, for example, like Native Americans viewed. There's a big reason why Native Americans weren't so willing to try to integrate with Western, or like the English colonies and during Western expansion,
right?
And all that. And that's because the cultural differences were very different. And one of the big ones was that like the English colonies viewed men as being like farmers. Like that was like the big most important and crucial role for a male was to be a farmer, basically. And in Native American cultures, most of them anyway, farming was like a really feminine kind of, the idea of planting and harvesting, that was purely a female job. Men hunted and were warriors. That's kind of it. Like that was.
While the women sat back and picked berries.
Yes, like the idea of messing around. The idea of messing around with plants was like, you're asking them to just like basically just be women now. So to the English, the most masculine thing you could be doing is farming, and is the complete opposite to the Native Americans. And neither one of them is just intrinsically right? Correct. So I'm just saying that
social constructs is what. Yeah,
I'm saying that there's there is very literally an element of gender that is absolutely a social construct, or it's a social phenomenon. It's it's how any given individual perceives that.
I guess you'd have to break it down even further then, maybe to a genetic level, in a way. I mean, masculinity and femininity are two different things, but I feel like it's hard to explain.
But do you see like I'm saying that there's just different types of traits, and they're not measured in just strictly a yes or no, or this or that kind of thing. There could, there's a lot of different types of roles that could be associated with male, female, or neither, or both, somehow. And like the idea of saying that there's only male and only female, that's a binary like that, doesn't line up with the very open-ended nature of what we consider masculinity and femininity. Like how?
Because I feel like to me being masculine or feminine is different than gender identity, though. I feel like, because to me it's like having strong characteristics it kind of works for both sides. Like having strong character, like being a hard worker, or just in general, I feel like if you're man or woman, you're just a hard worker. You're not a hardworking man, or like it's not masculine to be a hard worker. You know what I mean?
It's not exclusive to just men or males.
But maybe
I mean, nothing is complete.
it is. I mean, maybe it's just a complicated thing. It'd be hard to like break down, and I'd have to like really sit down and write it out. But
I'm saying so. I mean, I'm not speaking as somebody who is like non-binary or anything, but I'm pretty sure somebody who is non-binary would probably say that they just simply don't see how they could just particularly fit into either category in whatever culture they live in at any given time. They don't understand themselves as just simply a male or a female. They're saying they're non-binary means they don't belong to one of those two groups, either because they just have maybe some kind of equal balance of the two things that are associated with femininity and masculinity, or
well, let me ask you something. Let me ask you guys something.
So I'm saying, like, why is that? Like, what's so hard to? Like,
do you think it should be against the law for me not to use pronouns? If you identify as whatever you want to be, and I don't use
no, I mean,
pronouns.
are we talking laws, or are we talking just a business's policy?
I'm saying literally a law. It's illegal for me to
no, of course,
to call you something that you're not.
Nobody would.
And I think that's the huge issue about this topic is that
it's not an issue.
If
Nobody's arguing.
Yeah, if we make
nobody's making that argument.
Well, the whole community, all that. There's actually a lot of people that want it to be laws. I'm not saying we do.
Why?
I
think we should make
in a very, very like some might take it so far as to say, like they might stretch it out and say,
people are getting sued, aren't they?
Well, that's different. I mean, just because you're being sued doesn't mean that it's
all the time.
Well, just because you're being sued for something doesn't mean that you've committed a criminal act.
Whenever you see something, I think it's always like good to remind yourself, like, this person is probably the loudest person. They're louder than like the normal people in that group, so take it with a grain of salt. So like if someone's out there like make it illegal to say these things, like, I mean, if you're talking about compelled speech, which was like a big thing in Canada and all that stuff, the Jordan Peterson stuff.
Oh, we can make it through the whole first podcast without listen here, bucko.
I'm just saying, if we make any of these laws, actually, if we stand by these laws, it's kind of almost taking away any kind of language, really. I mean, where does it end from there? If we begin to, if that becomes a law, then, before you know it, language itself and speech itself is going to be regulated.
Well, that's just a slippery slope.
Right.
Policy. It's already regulated. And I think
it's getting there.
Listen, would you be okay with it being legal for me to physically threaten you in words? Purely in words. I just go up to you and say, I'm going to kill you if you don't give me your wallet.
That's already a law, though, isn't it? It's already...
Yeah, but it's just speech.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I haven't physically touched you yet. I'm just threatening you.
Yeah.
Should that be illegal?
Well, that's like the stipulation. Like, your speech is free, just don't yell fire in a movie theater. You can't harm other people with yours. But physically harm, I don't know. Emotionally harming people is a different thing. So,
well, I mean, I think the argument, even if it is just an extreme one, is that refusing, like, very belligerent. I don't think they're going to sit there and argue that if you accidentally do it, that you should be arrested. But they'd probably be arguing that if you're very intentionally and like belligerently doing it, that you're committing like a hate crime in the sense that you're intimidating them in a way that's essentially threatening. Like you're.
So that's what they take it as, what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you can say it's of course, and there's always going to be that area between the two extremes where you can't, like, how can you say it's just a gray area?
Right.
Like they'd say that, if you're going out of your way to be like deeply insulting towards people in a way that might be construed as like deeply bigoted, that it might constitute like a kind of threat of violence towards them.
Okay.
If that type of speech is typically associated with violence.
Right. Yeah, I guess.
Let's say the N-word, for example. When a white person is using the N-word in like a not
like a song
joke, in a clearly racist way, right? I mean, there's a certain level of like implicit threat in that on some level, right? Like just because the way that people who do intend to be violent towards, let's say, an African American would probably use that kind of language and try to kind of project that kind of intention.
I think the problem with that is, like, I think you have a point Like, say I'm a black dude, I'm walking on the street, and someone said,
Well, yeah.
I won't say it.
We know what you
I
mean.
guess I won't say it, even though I believe in free speech. No, but whether or not I assume that he's gonna hurt me, so maybe I do think so, and maybe in that context, it could be taken as like hate speech because he's putting me in fear of my own life or well-being. But you could also like stretch it out and be like, when does who gets to decide in what context things can be said or can't be said? Like, if I'm gonna say a phrase like in passing or like a light insult, and then someone's like,
that's not wrong. It's just that's not really an issue that's particularly associated with any one thing at all. That just applies to everything. I mean, there's just a gray area in speech in general.
Right.
There's always going to be those two extremes that we can all pretty much agree on. You know, like you can't just sit there and like without any irony just physically threaten somebody. You know, like I'm going to kill you if you don't give me your wallet without any.
How else am I going to get that wallet?
You know, is that extreme? There's the other extreme where it's like you just accidentally call somebody by the wrong name. It's like, I accidentally just called you like Sally, but your name is Susan. Yeah. And you've just like committed like, some deep threat to them.
People just get, I think everyone's getting offended at everything these days.
Well, geez.
And I think that they're part of the problem. You know what I mean? That's the whole issue. I feel like it's killing free speech. It's just everybody's feelings. You know?
Are they not free to be offended?
Well, they are, yes. But, when you're going around trying to make laws, for one, and trying to, I guess, put regulation on the second, the free speech itself.
Where do they, I don't really encounter that. I don't see them.
We don't see them, but they definitely exist. It's like it's killing comedy right now. That's what a lot of comics are saying. They can't even go to a show without a bunch of college kids booing them off stage because they made.
Well, it has nothing to do with the law. They haven't. It's not the police that are doing it.
I'm just saying people are.
Those college students are perfectly free to not like that what they're saying and not want to.
The big one
patronize it. Like I think comedians. I keep hearing comedians talk about this, and it sounds to me like they feel like they're entitled to an audience. Like they feel that way. And that's what annoys me more than anything. Like you're not
comics are kind of walking on glass a lot of the time.
But it's like, choose your audience. I mean, that's like, because Jerry Seinfeld's one of the most vocal people. Is like, I don't play to crowds or in colleges because people get. But it's like,
if they don't want
it's the same thing. It's like, well, you don't have to perform as one of those people. Like, the reason why I don't say a racial slur in public is because people would get angry. But not what I'm saying. Like, but if I'm like with a friend, I might be more casual about dropping a certain word because they wouldn't care. You know what I'm saying though? And I think like
I feel like everybody's really a lot of people are really like that. You know what I mean? I feel like in society we kind of put this image off that we're all saints, but behind closed doors about people you love.
But you can also control what you hear too. Like people that get mad when someone says something on Twitter, it's like, well, you don't have to follow that person on Twitter or Facebook. You choose to, and you choose to react. Exactly. And that's the thing too, is that everybody chooses how they react in any situation. And that's a huge factor.
Yeah. So I want to get into the issue. I know we talked about it earlier a little bit in our chat, but the issue of gun control right now. I know it's a huge thing going on right now in the country. I kind of want to go around and really, get to know what you guys think. What's your true opinion on it?
I'm really betting 1,000 here.
I really want to get into that because I really want to know what you guys think.
By the third podcast, we're going to have solved every major political and philosophical issue.
We've kind of every argument or discussion, we're just like, it's kind of a gray area.
What do you guys think of this march movement? Or what's it called? March for Our Lives. What do you guys think of that?
I think it's kind of obnoxious, to be honest. I mean,
thank God.
And by all means, they have a right to it.
And it's funny, because you know what they'll say to you after they hear that? They'll say that you're an evil person and you want children to die.
Oh, no.
All because of your political viewpoint. It's demagoguery at its finest. Is that what it's called? Demagoguery?
Demagoguery.
It's basically, if you don't agree with their political viewpoint, you're evil. And you want children to die. And that shouldn't,
I mean, it's funny because, I see this as like the kind of... It's funny that Facebook calls me very liberal because I would say that I'm literally absolutely not even at all liberal when you understand what liberal actually means in a philosophical way. Like liberalism to me is when you take certain like fundamental ethical principles as absolute, in which case there really is such a thing as evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If people have an absolute, let's say, right to whatever, life, pursuit of happiness, whatever it might be.
But don't they?
If they have that, then anybody who opposes that is very, in that worldview, is very literally evil. There is no like, there's no nuance or like compromise to be had there, right?
I guess
You can't, you know what I mean? Like, look at how we would talk about, let's say, the Nazis. So we're gonna bring in a Nazi comparison. Why not?
I mean, you got it.
You know, what I mean? It's just like you would never, you know, like most Americans would never say that there's like some like sympathy to be had towards Nazis. They did something evil, and we're going to identify it as evil, and we're not going to compromise with people who think otherwise.
I actually wanted to bring that up too within the gun control argument too. So the Second Amendment, what Thomas Jefferson said, he said the biggest reason for having, is that the Second Amendment? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
The right to bear arms.
Yeah. Well, this is okay. The Second Amendment is a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state,
and to defend ourselves against tyrannical government. That's what Thomas Jefferson quoted.
The right of the people to keep their arms shouldered.
Yeah, that's my man.
Your boy.
That's my man. And he said that what it was is that's the biggest reason, the most important factor of it is that if our government, which has happened before. For example, the Nazis. That's what they did. The Hitler regime, Nazi regime, they took the guns away.
Well, that's
and the rights away from everybody.
That's a kind of misconception. The truth is that...
Well, you're a history major. You know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, sure, he disarmed the population, in, let's say broadly, but he absolutely armed the populace that agreed with him, and they became...
It could happen again, though, right?
Became
I think that's what it is. People think that it couldn't happen again. Oh, really? You're going to sit there and say that the government's going to come after us? Why couldn't it happen again? It happened, what?
No, I agree, right?
You know, 60, 70 years ago?
Study history. You know, that's the whole saying, like, learn from it, or you're given to repeat
And everybody
it.
today is, no, that would never happen.
You notice trends.
Why not? Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't they come after, declare martial law, take away our guns, throw us into the FEMA camps that are all around the country?
Now, that's good. See, like, because I think it's kind of like a stretch to be like, we could be the Nazi Germany by tomorrow. I think it's a bit of a stretch. I like to think people are smart enough to, like, know when something like that was going. That's why I don't, like, buy the whole, like, Trump is trying to become a dictator. It's like, you know how hard it would be for him to do that?
I don't think it'd be that hard at all. Like, all he'd have to do is issue an executive order saying
You hear that, Trump?
any Supreme Court action against any of my military decisions are invalid or suspended for the time being, because let's say he gets us into a war or something. It could be anything, right?
Like a war on terror.
And then there's like a martial law declared, and then a suspension of the Supreme Court ruling by executive order. The Constitution is just a piece of paper. If his supporters just kind of blindly follow that and agree with him, and the military is just conditioned to follow the orders of the commander-in-chief, and they don't really consider what that means, and they don't really think of themselves as having an obligation to disobey when something is unconstitutional.
I don't think we'd ever go.
Then that's as easy. That's all it would take. That's all it would take.
I feel like if it was so easy, it would have happened by now.
It'd have been a lot easier if they take away our guns.
It's risk. Yeah, because this is the point, right? Bruce is making the point, right? It's you. In order to have like a military junta running the country and like martial law, this requires a police military. It's not like invading a foreign country where you can destroy anything and kill anything you want. When you're trying to have a military conquest of your own country, it has to stay intact. So you're really just focusing on, just small scale boots on the ground control.
Right.
And in this scenario, just basic primary firearms like AR-15s is what you really mostly need to keep that.
And that's the huge argument right now on the left with people going for gun control. They're saying you don't need an assault rifle, right? But they don't understand that if there ever was to be some kind of government power to go against the public, then we're going to need those assault rifles.
Yeah, they'll forward the argument that you can't take on the military. They've got tanks and drones and shit. Well, they're not going to use tanks and drones on us. They're not going to destroy the infrastructure.
I'm going to die fighting.
It's going to be other people with AR-15s in the streets.
Is that
and a lot less of them if they're...
I think the police might follow their orders if it ever were to happen, but I don't think our own military would, shoot against our own people. But if it did become a law,
it has happened in other countries, China and stuff.
If it did become a law that they were going to take away all our guns, there's how many how many gun owners right now in America that own semi-automatic rifles?
They lose their minds.
It'd be all out chaos.
But here's the thing, like, I mean, I'm a little ignorant on this. Like, I've seen people holding signs like ban all assault weapons and stuff, but is that the platform right now of the kids protesting? There's people out there.
That's kind of what they're going for.
Because I thought it was just more about like just regulating about who can get them, but I could see why, like, because I feel like some people mix up banning guns. And
no, they're
so.
saying they want to ban all assault rifles.
Oh.
It's not just about control or regulations or background checks of any sort. It's just literally ban all assault rifles. So that's my biggest issue. I mean, people are gonna.
Does it matter that AR-15s aren't actually technically assault rifles?
Oh, I know.
I mean, maybe
what
it's just a
stand
linguistic.
for? I don't know. That people.
Armalite.
What is it?
Armalite. It's like a brand marking.
Yeah. I don't know.
My biggest opinion right now about the whole thing is that if you take away the guns, they're still going to make bombs. If you take away the guns, they're still going to use knives. People are still going to find ways. Criminals are still going to find ways to get a hold of these weapons.
I don't like
still
that
kill
argument.
Why not?
With their guns.
Because it just with their guns in their bones. It sounds like
if you want to shoot up a school right now, and I took away your weapon, but you still want to kill a bunch of children, what are you going to do? You're going to make a goddamn bomb, or you're going to walk in there with a samurai sword and chop a bunch of little fuckers' heads off.
Can I kill more people with an assault rifle or a samurai sword?
It doesn't matter. You're still going to want to kill people.
Yeah, but how many?
That's true. That's a good point. And we can follow up on
If you're
that.
seeking chaos in general,
Like out.
you're not going to care how many people you kill if you're just trying to like make a message.
Yeah, we would care.
So let's take away the guns.
There's a big difference between 3 people getting chopped up by a samurai sword and 50 people getting shot up by an
I don't know. Did you hear about that China stabbing? I think he stabbed 27
well,
people.
in China.
Killed
you
Japan
they're
and
pretty
China
good
act
just
over
spin
there.
in a circle and hit 20 yards.
You know what I mean, though, man.
No,
they're still trying to kill people. It's just kind of that thing where it doesn't matter.
Well,
But it sounds
My
like
point is, if they take away our guns, they're going to take them away from people that actually want to use them to protect themselves and their family. It doesn't matter if people are still going to find ways. It's still going to happen. Killings happen. It's happened since the beginning of time.
I'm not pro taking. I'm just pro regulation. Like
absolutely.
the fact that the Parkland, Florida, or whatever. Like he got like reported like 3 times by people like for weird shit, and then like the FBI did nothing, which I guess like. I don't know how many complaints they have backed up. And they're like, this guy's weird. But, I mean, didn't his mom say he didn't leave his room for like a week on end and some weird shit like that?
I definitely agree with that. I mean, obviously, I think there should be more extensive background checks, especially when it comes to mental health.
So you're saying universal health care?
That's just
don't get me started on that.
Like, how do you judge somebody to be like mentally unfit without being discriminatory? Like, what does that mean?
I think you could.
Do you come to do you list certain conditions or illnesses?
Really
And say if you get diagnosed with that.
I think it'd be more history of the child.
How do you enforce it more broadly? Like, do you force people to submit to a full evaluation before they can buy a weapon for the first time or own a weapon? Every person who wants to own a gun has to go through a full psych evaluation. It'd be expensive, and it'd be fine if we're willing to pay for it, and that's feasible.
It just seems like it would make it harder for anyone to really get one. You know what I mean? But I mean,
it's super hard to get a pistol, and that's why not many people own pistols. And I know that some people, it's like, well, we need more pistols. But
I think you got to get what? You got to get a permit that's vouched by 3 pistol owners that have owned it for so long.
I mean, we're in New York,
so
the laws are pretty strict here. But
well, yeah, New York. Yeah. Don't quote me.
But I mean, you go to like.
You're not sure if we live in New York. We're almost in Canada.
We're in a bunker, remember?
Yeah,
it's the bunker boys.
Bunker boys. Ew. No. Yeah, I'm not. Like you said, I don't really believe in protesting gets anything done personally. I think it's all about voting and getting people you support into politics. But I'm also not against these kids protesting just because I'm glad to see that kids are getting.
That's a good point, Murphy. I wonder how many people in that protest are actually going out and writing their representatives.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are
going out to vote.
They're teens, so it's like they probably there's only so much they can do, and logically so. I personally don't think 18 is probably a good it is a good age to vote because most kids probably just follow their parents' beliefs or their classmates.
Adults do that too, so it's not really.
Oh yeah, Facebook.
That's not
I
really.
see
the
y'all
solution.
Facebook.
The age isn't the problem. Like,
Lizard man.
You could put it up to 50 and people would still just be.
Maybe 25. 25 is a good age.
I think it all comes
Your
down
brain's
to
done
what you're
developing.
told on media.
I feel like 18-year-old me is way different than like me now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
18-year-old me was super.
I'm sure we'll still feel that way 5 years from now.
I was eating Tide Pods, sucking out condoms. No, I hate that whole like be dismissive of kids because like 2 kids on the internet ate Tide Pods once. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's like
it's kind of hard to judge.
kids
man.
are dumb,
We get some
but they're
stupid
not
shit
that
too. You know, everyone does stupid shit when they're younger, and it's kind of especially with trends. You know what I mean?
it's like your grandparents are eating like goldfish in college and stupid shit like that. Like, but no one ever goes like these these boomers and their goldfish storing condoms.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What's wrong with goldfish? My kids love goldfish.
Mike's all offended over here. What do you got against goldfish?
I identify as gold and fish. I'm fishkin.
Goldfish.
Alright,
So that's guns. We wrapped that up.
Let's take a break.
There's
We're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. This is the Bunker Boys. All right, we're back. So we gotta establish right now. What are we called? The Bunker Boys.
Please.
We done boys.
I like the idea of being like a post-apocalyptic world where like we're broadcasting
Are we like
to the survivors.
Are we LARPing or something?
That's just me. I like
Oh, yeah.
I like a little bit of LARPing in my life.
LARPing. Nothing wrong with LARPing.
Are we really in a post-apocalyptic bunker? Are we gonna
To me, I think as
stay
a
in
just don't
character?
know.
No, we don't have to do that. I'm just saying like, because like when you're in a bunker, you're talking about like
I got
conspiracy theories.
I got
and
logo
government
ideas
shit.
already.
We can tell.
We're gonna have.
He's got a graph over here.
No, we gotta have the what is it? The biohazard sign with some whatever Bunker Boys.
Bunker Boys.
TV, some I don't know. I
Trademark.
think between us. we'll
We
figure
own that.
Yeah.
LLC. So we're immune to being any legal proceedings.
Yup. And you can't sue us. You can't sue us.
Untouchable. So listen here, you fucking.
We'll bleep that out. Censor it.
Oh my god. No.
So what do you guys think about the F word? Is it as bad as
Fudge.
I think anyone that uses it should be imprisoned immediately and tortured.
Knock your teeth out so they're easy to mouth rape.
Who's recording the trigger warning message for the beginning of this?
We're already recording right now, man. We're already
Excuse
on.
me.
We're
We're
back.
gonna put it. I know you gotta put it at the beginning.
Trigger warning. Yeah.
People. That's the thing. They hear something like that, they don't like it. They can just.
They need
"Oh,
to.
this isn't for me."
You as a listener need to understand that we're not afraid to hit certain topics. Obviously, we all have our own beliefs. That's our right as an America, and we're just kind of here to spread the truth and spread our beliefs that people might not agree with.
If you don't like it, snowflake,
We're
you
gonna
can go back up in the upper atmosphere.
We're gonna spread them.
I mean, we don't have to spread them unless you want to spread them.
I just sharing. I think. I like
guess
the idea of
sharing our beliefs,
spreading
I
makes it
guess.
sound a little weird.
Yeah, spread. I'm
Like
gonna
we're
spread you, baby.
proselytizing. We're just proselytizing our idiotic beliefs.
I think the big reason people like listen to podcasts, one, it's like to not feel alone. I think it's most people who listen to podcasts.
So we're
Not
just
necessarily that.
just exploiting lonely people.
But people like to hear
Hopefully.
ideas. People like to hear things that like they believe but have never really thought about yet. It's
Or just
it's
hey,
this
that
weird
person
thing.
is saying what I was afraid to say.
Yeah, like that kind of
Or
thing.
I
Like, I
would-
agree with that, but I've never thought about or said it out loud or thought about it out loud because it's like I've never had the opportunity to be like, wow,
Wowzer.
wowie, wowie.
We're gonna get into some really crazy shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm gonna be saying some stuff that nobody else ever says. That's for sure.
No, I'm excited.
wow.
I'm
That's for
excited.
sure. I promise you that.
You're really
That's my promise.
building yourself
You
up.
hear that,
Building
everybody?
myself up.
It's Mike's promise.
I just don't like pickles.
No, I like pickles. I don't like bread and butter pickles. Those are
Dude, I love bread.
disgusting.
Oh my god, they're so good. How could you
dill.
not?
Amazing. I could
Regular dills are nothing. I
Dill,
don't like.
amazing.
Yeah, I don't like sweet pickles or
bread
anything
and
like
butter is
that.
disgusting.
Have you ever had sweet and spicy pickles? No.
I think so. I tried it. Sweet and sour.
Alright guys, you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, we can do it. We can do our. We don't have like.
Alright guys,
don't
so
have
yeah, I think this is the end. We're out of time.
This is the end.
I'm Bruce.
This is Mike.
This is Murph.
We'll work on it, but tune in next week on
We'll
Wednesday.
remember our names next time.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be back next week.